If you can step into the mind of a rock star agent, owner of a brokerage with 3 kids, a husband, 13 agents, and ask her the question of how does she keep it all together and have a monster year here in 2025 in Coastal OC, well, you are going to love this show. My dear Meital, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So introduce yourself to the audience for the person that maybe hasn't seen you. You spoke on stage at the summit. You've done local events with me. You've always been very gracious about sharing your insights and your wisdoms in this business. But tell the listener a little bit about your background, how long in the brokerage business, or how long in the business, and then when did you start your brokerage? Just give them some context.
Okay. Thank you for having me, first of all. Been in the business for about 15 years. Mm-hmm. We have 13 agents, Livell Real Estate, amazing, incredible systems of incredible people.
You are a systems junkie.
Yes.
We're going to get into systems and organization today.
Yes, we'll get into that. All our agents really share similar core values, and that's really the great thing about it. I really am so proud to say that every agent on our team really is extension of the brand and what we do, which is always doing the right thing for the clients, which is great. Yes.
They said that Steve Jobs was that way, that he hired in his likeness, and there was like 10,000 Steve Jobs running around Apple in the early days. So I'm with you on that. So you're selling in Laguna Beach, California. As we film this, it's the beginning of June. We were just looking at your numbers. You're over $100 million closed. You have like $170 million in active listings and listings coming soon to the marketplace. And I would argue for the person listening, they're going to be enamored. And you and I both know, because we spoke yesterday on the phone, which sort of prompted this podcast. You're like, Tom, it is a hard market right now. Help us understand, like, what part of hard are you dealing with? Because those numbers, for a lot of people, just sound insanely great, but it does feel like it's a slugfest. So talk to me. How's the market right now in coastal Orange County?
So what we're seeing is, obviously, we have much more inventory, about 30% year over year. And I think sellers' mindset really did not catch up with that concept.
Yes.
And a lot of sellers are still within the idea that we can just name our price and get it, right? Unfortunately, the market have a different story to tell.
Yes.
And I think a lot of agents also are almost kind of afraid to have real conversations with their sellers. With that, on the buyer side, we're seeing consumer confidence being down, and a lot of buyers are not having true conversations with their agents. And that's what we're encouraging our team to really dive deep versus wide, understand what is the need, whether it's going to be a seller or a buyer, and have real, true conversations that are backed by data, and not just to leave it onto the fluff of, oh, hey, you want to buy? Maybe yes, maybe not. It's all good on the surface. Yeah. We really take our time to look to our clients in the eyes and really have data, backed up data conversations that have to do with how we get you there. What is the strategy that I need to build for you in order to get you to the finish line? Okay.
Yes.
So I know, Mr. Seller, that you know everything, which is really great. And our sellers are wonderful, but they really need us to come with the data, and also with the fact that we have boots on the ground. We have conversations, our 13 agents having conversations on a daily basis with clients that are coming that into their open houses, raise their hands and said, okay, I have some sort of interest in real estate. Talk to me about it, what the market is doing. And we're able to bridge that gap in having those conversations on a consistent basis. And I think the key here is really the consistent basis.
Yes. So there's so much inside of that to unpack. So you're sitting here. From the numbers, it looks like your average sales price is like $3.5 million. And we know that means like it was $1 million and then $9 million and, all over the board. But I saw a stat. I did an Instagram reel on it today. Redfin published this report that basically said, sitting here in the month of May, right? So last month, 63% of home sellers had to have a price reduction or had taken a price reduction. And I don't want to misquote the numbers. Maybe we could publish that Redfin report. I want to say it was like no more than 21% of properties sold above ask price. and like 13% or whatever the balance of the number was sold right at list price. So the overwhelming number is sellers aren't buying the story. They still want to list it at a price where they feel they can have room to negotiate. Or, Meital, did you not see the view of the ocean from my house? Isn't that worth more?
It's either sellers either not buying the stories or agents are really not buying the story, because we as agent have big responsibility. And with big power comes big responsibility
Yes.
to really educate and really stand up there. And when we deal with luxury real estate specifically, there's no real way to quantify what an ocean view is worth for one client versus location, right? So it's not true conversation of price per square foot. It has some sort of variation.
Yes.
So whenever we quote a price for a seller, it's always going to be a certain range that we're trying to attract a ready, willing buyer to come in the door. We look at pricing kind of like an invitation, almost
Yes.
like going fishing,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of
And
agents.
if no one bites,
Exactly.
we got the wrong bait.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
I like. Do you actually use that? I'm sorry to interrupt, but like that's such a great.
I use
sort of
that in every-
metaphorical example of.
I always use that in every conversation with the seller, because we really have to find that range. And then, Mr. Seller, you can choose where you want to be, because if you choose the higher side of the range, it's fine, but it may take longer. So I don't know what's your timing. Tell me about your timing.
Yeah.
Because we may want to choose strategically the lower side of the range. So a lot of times sellers are really going to make decisions that they'll say, okay, I understand the data. It's all good. We love you.
right.
However, I choose consciously
Yeah.
to price my house a bit higher, which
Yes.
is great, right? Which is fine. We'll have conversations on a weekly basis. And on the 30-day point, we'll do the real conversation, right? And a lot of sellers really getting it, and it seems to be working really well. So to your question, if it's matter of sellers not really getting it, I think a lot of times it's also our job as agents to help them get there by just saying it.
I love it because you take personal responsibility. You're like, it's not them, it's me, right? Because we can control ourselves.
Yes.
So I was chatting with one of our great coaches. She also speaks with me on the road. Her name is Lourdes. Maybe you met her. She's down in Fort Lauderdale. It's on, $10 and $15 million houses and like $800,000 condos and everything in between. We were chatting about seller expectations at the listing appointment and then that 30-day conversation. So I know for everybody listening, I'd like to know from your standpoint, what is the conversation you're having with the seller about that sort of how much money do you want and how much time is it going to take, and that sort of bell curve experience of like, here's our optimal sales window, right? If you miss that window, we're now chasing the market. How do you set it up? And then talk to us about that 30-day conversation. So let's do the how we set it up first.
So I think it has to do a lot with how we're looking at pricing. It's not just looking at what's sold in the past. What sold is great. And I love that your neighbor's house sold for $1 million above what we thought it would sell.
Yes.
However, let's look at what is our competition. If I had a buyer that walking into Laguna Beach with, let's say, $7 million cash in a suitcase, what are they going to look at and how we compare versus that competition? So I really care to look and show and have conversations with sellers more about what is the active inventory and how that looks like versus our property, our subject property. And are we superior? How is our location? And it's more of a brainstorming conversations of showing the sellers and have them really understand it on a deeper level, showing the back end of how things are. We have a system and we're very systematic in everything we do. And on the 30-day point, we take count on every person that ever stepped into the property, whether it be through an open house, through a showing, private showing, through an agent preview. And even within the open houses, we dissect it to know, was it a neighbor? Was it an actual showing? Was it an agent showing? Who are the people that are coming in, right? And those conversations, and the deeper you get in conversations, the more data I collect from our agents that hold the open houses. It's better for me to go with this data to the seller because I really empower them to make the right decisions.
Right. So do you use something like, and I just use that visual, kind of everybody wants the highest possible price and we want it in the most reasonable amount of time, right? And there's that sort of ramp up of like, we're introducing the property to the marketplace. And then again, price point's going to be different, right? If it's a $15 million house or it's a $150,000 house, somewhere outside of, wherever, right? Generally speaking, I see the days on market in the higher end being 2 to 3 times what it is for, say, a $500 or $1 million house, say, along the coast. Do you try and set an expectation for that optimal sales time? Do you get into we don't want to chase the market or we don't want to start reducing? Do you get into all that dialogue as a setup, or does that start at the 30-day point?
So I explain sellers. We actually collect a lot of information from the sellers in terms of their timeline.
Yeah.
And talking about that zone pricing, where you can be, do you want to be on the higher side or the lower side, is really connects to that timeline.
Yeah.
And we are explaining the optimal zone to be on market. But I think that comes really strongly on the 30-day conversation, because we have actual facts to show how many people came in the door,
right,
and how many showings we have. And that's your best time, that optimal time.
Right.
From here, it's just going to go down.
Right.
So we can either keep course and just try to chase, or we can be the first one to adjust, because since then, I also look at what changes were made during that first 30 days in our competition, because if they had price reductions, we have to know where we stand, right?
Right. So let's talk about, you have how many active listings? 35 active listings with like 20 coming soon. So that's a lot of moving parts. What have you found to be true as sort of the best systematic approach to manage seller expectations and seller communication with that many properties on the market?
It's all about systems. There's no real secrets here. The more you stick to the systems, and the better the systems are, the better communications you'll have, and the better control you have on the process, right?
So some people, when they hear systems, they think software. Some people think checklists. Some people think, maybe like Slack, and other people think yellow notepads. So what's your best sort of, when you say system, which one are you talking about?
So the system is really about the system that works for you as a person. The systems that I talk about is human systems and habits of recording things we have systems within our team, right? Everyone registers every client with the right information, and everyone kind of hold to this high standard of expectations.
Yeah.
But our systems are more human systems, right? We're not transactional. We're really in a relationship business.
Yes.
So if it's about just putting a note in your calendar, because my admin does it for me, of when we need to speak to sellers, to make sure that we're touching points with sellers. And now more than ever, we have to actually increase our touch points with sellers.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, you're just kind of talking about, I would say, almost habits that you bring into a professional habits, I would call it.
So, and we're definitely going to get into that because you are such a positive creature of habit. Someone might be listening right now. They're a solo agent and they're like, where do I start? Like, where do I start? Like, I have this property. I have 2 active listings. I have 3 active, whatever the number is. How should I be tracking all that? Is this a chicken scratch yellow notepad? Is there a piece of software you used to be able to say, well, I know I had this many views on Zillow. We had this many people at our open house. We had this many people that came through that were neighbors. Like, did you build like a Google sheet for this and the salespeople just fill in the blanks, or is it handwritten?
So we built a Google Sheet. We have a Google Drive. We have our own proprietary software that we built with actual software engineer that collect that information and sends it to the seller automatically on a weekly basis.
Beautiful.
That collects all the views they had and from all the syndication sites. It has exactly where the property was marketed on the print advertising, social media, and digital advertising with links and everything else. You can start as simple as can be on your note. I mean, I don't recommend notepads. I recommend your calendar, right?
Yes.
But you can start as simple as that if you have one or two listings.
Yes.
But building those systems are a living creature. It's not anything that I built 15 years ago and it stayed the same. The systems have to change due to market.
Right.
So now we are increasing our touch points and the conversations are even different. And the webinar, the last webinar you did with David Schiller, which was amazing, I thought, I really take a lot of those notes and I implement them into our local market to get the information. And we just constantly feeding our sellers with data that allows them to make the right decisions. We really have, it's not just about why we do this and the passion for us to do this. We're coming from a service point, right? It's really our purpose that we created. It's not just, I don't take it lightly that, oh, that's my job and that's what I do.
Sure.
I really feel that this is our way to leave a mark in this world, one transaction at a time, by really helping people. There is a story behind every seller.
Yes.
It's not just kind of like, there is lives and people and a lot of things that go into that.
Yeah.
It's
more,
deeper.
More than just a transaction.
Yes.
15 years in the business, someone listening right now is like, oh man, she's just got it all together. She's so sharp and organized and like, and listen, different structure, different folks. And you certainly are that way. But at what point in your career, like, did it register? Like, when did you start to go, oh, I can really do this. Like, I can really take this to the next level.
It's interesting that you asked because I really remember vividly, you know how you have like memories as a child that, you know, that you kind of have this really big.
Like epiphany.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I remember having actually one that, you know, I don't know, my mom bought me this really funny swim cap that had like pink flowers on it. And I thought that it's really okay. And I remember those people asking me, oh, that's a really cool cap. Where can I get it? And I'm like, I'm so excited. Let me ask my mom. And as I turned around, they started laughing. I'm like, oh. So that's those moments.
That's another epiphany.
So that's another one. But the epiphany that came with the business was really, I went to one of your seminars and I was sitting there in the crowd and you said, the first 10 people that are going to register to coaching will get 30 minutes with me. I'm like, I don't know what happened, but I got up with my credit card in my hand and I ran to the back like a lunatic. And I'm like, put me on. I'm going, I'm doing this. And I'm like, oh, wow, that just happened. Okay, I guess I'm in. So it's about taking action. It's almost like forcing yourself to take the actions. And I think it was probably brewing for quite some time.
Sure.
But having that moment really created that need for me to it got it out of me, right?
Yeah.
This coming year will be my 17th Success Summit. To me, it's the absolute best education I can get in the world of real estate.
After attending the summit, we had our best year ever, more top line and more bottom line revenue for our business.
It was like a rock concert for real estate, really, just to get in there, the energy, to be around so many people.
Connections, fun, referrals. The summit always gets me back on my feet.
Each time I go, I take away so many new contacts, and the referral business has just been incredible.
If I can promise you anything, it's that these 3 days in Dallas will change everything.
And that was like, I want to say that was like a decade ago, like ish, right? Like 10-ish years ago.
It was.
So, but you, when I think about you, I think about this highly disciplined, very organized. I mean, 3 beautiful children, a great business, a beautiful husband. You say physically fit. We're talking about longevity before this. Like, you're so on it. Were you always that way? And then suddenly you got into a program like ours and you just kind of flourished more? Like help me understand.
I think we all have that inside of us. It's just about how you want and like the process to be, right? I think on a personal level, what really triggered for me the realization that we're here for a very short time is when I lost my dad in a very tragic car accident,
Yeah.
right? And that he was 61. He was very fit. He was a hero of a lot of people that did not even know him. And just one day when I remember that moment, being in the busy and rushing to a spin class, getting my daughter ready, we all kind of get caught in the busy. And you get that one phone call that you really never, ever want to get.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I knew that there is two options. It's either I'm going to sit here and feel sorry for myself and kind of let it fade away. But with me personally, it really took me to a point of understanding that all this that's happening, it's temporary, right? So you're here, and I talk to my team about it all the time because we're all about mindset, right? Beyond the work ethic. But we're here for a certain point of time, from the moment you're born until the moment you die. Whatever you do with that space, that's what you're going to leave behind.
Right.
And I'm determined to leave a dent in this world in a really, really meaningful way. So I really believe with all my heart that if it would not be real estate, it would be something else. I went to law school. I never planned on being a real estate agent, but I found the purpose. But that purpose came by finding the passion first. And the passion is really helping people and serving them in a really meaningful way. So once you find that, I really feel that the conversations gets elevated to a whole different space because you're coming from a point that we really care. And I'm okay telling my sellers in a very direct way my thoughts because that's what they're paying me for.
Right.
That's my responsibility.
Right. And you have that way about you. So you could be direct, right? Which you are, but it's not like there's direct that's like confronting. And then there's just like, I'm just letting you know the truth.
Yeah. I just
Like
want to give you.
It is what it is.
I want to show you the data. I want to give you my opinion. You don't have to take it. I'm just telling you what I think, right? I'm totally happy to price the home for whatever price you want, Mr. Seller.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy to do that. And I'm going to work as hard for you and double hard and will perform to the highest level, right? That's your choice.
But this price, we're fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good metaphor. I love that.
Exactly.
So what do you say to the person that, and I'm sure other agents would call you or friends like, oh my, you're so like on it, like, and you are, but you're on it with purpose, with passion. I find a lot of people, not many of my listeners, God bless you. Thank you for listening and hanging out with us today. But I find a lot of people come to me at like events and they just go, I just don't have that spark. Like you just have a sparkle in your eye. You're always like fired up. And like, are you always fired up, Tom Ferry? You always like this? And I'm like, yeah, like, I mean, we all have off days, but like, I know where I'm going. What do you say to that person to help them find that purpose, that passion, that spark? Like we don't wish that someone passes away for them to catch it, even though sometimes that's what happens. What do you say to that person?
We all have those off days. I would ask them, what do you really do with those off days or off moments when they happen? Because it doesn't have to be someone passes. It could be as simple as someone telling you no if you lost a listing presentation or a buyer that really did not materialize the way you thought it would be, or your friend really got you super mad, right? So at the end of the day, what are you doing with those moments, right? So I like to test myself. So when it's raining and it's really bad to go for a run and I feel really like I don't want to, I'll force myself and I'll do it, because then I know that feeling, you'll remember that feeling way more than your wins, right?
Yes.
You will remember those moments much stronger, and especially when you push through that.
Oh yeah.
And I think it all comes down to building good, healthy habits. And those are, once they're there, they're just unconditional items that need to happen. I wake up every morning and I meditate and I manifest before I even look on my phone.
Yes.
That's what I do first thing.
Yes.
And I do that every morning. And in that meditation, there is a big portion of having gratitude and understanding that the fact that we get to do this is a privilege.
Yes.
Get to do this as people, as humans, just being here, breathing, living, seeing, talking.
Right.
I mean, it could be
all
so
the
much
good,
worse.
all the bad, all the problems, all the hardships, all the things you overcome.
It could be worse.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's like, yeah, if you have a headache and I get it, it's really terrible. But if I would chop your arm right now, it'd be worse, right?
Yes.
So you prefer the headache, right?
Yeah.
So just push through.
So we talked about meditation yesterday. So I started doing, I've flirted with meditation for as long as I can remember. But something clicked. Like, I think I told you, one of my coaches, Dr. Julie Gerner, said to me after I shared with her, like, hey, this is what I'm going for in 25, 26, 27, 28, up to 30. Like, this is the vision I have. And she was like, she gave me this like long pause. And she's like, I think your goals are going to require a different version of you. And it punched me in the face. Just the question alone, I think it's going to require a different version of you. She's like, what do you think? And I was like, I remember sitting there for like 5 minutes, like on this Zoom meeting, and just processing the question, like analyzing in my mind, like, what do I do that no longer supports me? What have I always done? What have I flirted with that I know every time I do it, I feel so much better, but I still flirt with it. I haven't made it a habit. I'm not fully committed to it. Then I was like, what do I do that I know I just absolutely should not do? Who do I spend time with that I know I shouldn't spend? Like, I mean, I was in this 5-minute process of like everything. And she was like, Tom? And I was like, Julie, that was a really good question. And then I knew, I wrote down like, like get rid of alcohol. You know what I mean? And not like some like booze hound. And I think, I own a bourbon company, a tequila company, and a wine business. I'm like, whatever, it's a good investment. But I was like, yeah, like I remember writing down, I think there's a healthier way to calm my mind at the end of the day than having a glass of wine. And oh, by the way, there was like 1,800 other healthy ways. And one of the top ways was meditation. So I remember like literally calling this guy, David Lyons is his name. He's a Laguna Beach guy, Transcendental Meditation. Hey, David, I've taken the course before, but I need to go do it again. And he's like, why don't you just come see me and let's spend some time together? And it was like over a series of like 4 or 5 days. And now I've meditated every single day. And the science behind it is so unbelievable. It calms you, it focuses your mind, it activates your brain. What's your practice? And what do you recommend for the person listening?
Start small. Mm-hmm. Don't because
don't go Tom Ferry crazy.
Don't go Tom Ferry crazy.
For like a 3-day course.
Not recommended yet. But start small. Just have that the same mantra, I would call it, or whatever that works for you. Mm-hmm. And because you'll find it that different days you say it differently in your mind, right?
Yep.
And start with a small amount of time. It doesn't need to be more than 5 or 10 minutes.
I agree.
And just force yourself to do that. Mm-hmm. And then just give it every good habit what needs how many weeks? Probably.
So the old 3-week thing isn't true. It's actually like 67 days if it's like a remedial habit, like, brushing your teeth every day when you're a kid, 67 days. But if it's like a more challenging habit, it goes as far as like 90 days or maybe like 97. Somebody should Google this. It's like 97 days.
Okay. So maybe building that into your schedule in a way, and start with one thing.
Yes.
I really think it's going to be very, at least for me, just the part of the gratitude and I think gratefulness is just something that
I agree.
Really needs to be portrayed a little. We need to be more mindful to gratefulness.
It is amazing to me how many books I've read, audios, YouTube videos, conversations, that it all goes back to the people that just seem to be the happiest and in many cases the most productive, not always, just the happiness, always start with like a couple things that they're grateful for. I see a lot of people, myself included, that I'll send somebody a note and just say, it was just so great to see you the other day, or hey, I saw your new listing and yada, yada, yada. What an impressive listing. Congratulations. And just the act of like saying something nice to someone else that's very authentic and real, it's amazing how good that makes us feel.
And that's amazing because I'm a big believer in the power of mentorship and also who you surround yourself with, right? So I'm on the board of Big Brother, Big Sister Foundation of Orange County, which we really empower, have a lot of, through mentorship.
Yes.
But the way I see my team and the people that are on my team, which are really all share similar core values and really amazing, we feed off each other. It's about who you surround yourself with. And it's not just a sentence slogan. I really believe that if you want to know, they always say, if you want to know how billionaires think and act, be with a billionaire. If you want to, so just surround yourself within the environment that you want to be, right?
Yes.
And I think that really comes down to the power of mentorship and seeing my team members. We have standing meetings every Tuesday at 10 a.m. and it's always start with the mindset. Of course, we get to the work ethic and habits and a lot of other things, but really the mindset and practicing that together, it's really impactful.
So let's put mindset to the test. What was the most, you and I said it to start this, we were saying it before the show, it seems to be the most consistent conversation. Not that we're complaining, but we're saying this is a different market. This is a very hard market. And for my friends, just for context, if I was talking to somebody in the US in the Northeast, they'd be like, what are you talking about? We have endless demand, not enough supply. If I go to like Wisconsin and, Minnesota and Illinois and like Michigan, like those markets are totally on fire. There's not enough inventory. It's still very much a seller's market. I'll be in Fresno and Boise and Reno doing a seminar sometime this month and looking at the data. They're all still very much seller-driven markets. But a lot of the coastal California, a lot of parts of Texas, a lot of parts of Arizona, definitely lots of parts of Florida, there's way more inventory than there is buyers. And it feels like every transaction is just a tougher transaction than normal. Like it's a blessing to have an escrow, but every escrow is a little challenging. So without like saying names, like what was the hardest escrow you dealt with this year and how'd you solve it?
Well, every escrow has its stories and challenges, right? So it's really, you're calling it challenges and hard. And I actually think it's great opportunities. Depends on what side of the fence you are. I really believe that it's all about perspective, right? It's true. Yeah. Rates are not, going down, but we're still seeing sales. We had actually a lot of cash buyers and we closed tremendous amount of sale. We just closed 3 in the 5 millions, one in the 8.5, and another one got into escrow for 6. Happened to be that a lot of those are cash, right? But yes, we are seeing buyers being a bit more picky in terms of price points and what's in the escrow process. But again, it goes back to systems. No escrow is going to be perfect, especially in Laguna Beach and coastal Orange County when we deal with luxury homes. Every home has its core. It's not just the builder grade. Sometimes there is a lot of homes that were built in 1950s and 60s or 1930 even. And we just have a very specific system that helps our agents and the buyer and the seller to really create a smooth transaction. So we have an escrow system that lives in the Google Drive, and it's a living, breathing creature that we are updating every time. And we're doing specific things to really serve and make it easier for everyone, whether it would be to order the city report the moment we take the listing, not wait for last minute because it takes 30 days, right? Or having the buyer have real conversation with the title officer themselves to review the exceptions on the title report. There's a lot of steps in that escrow system that I find a lot of agents did not really catch up with that quite yet. And I think it's about setting the expectations and creating the right systems that will make it a bit easier. Yes. And then you have to deal just with the emotional part, right? Which is super fun.
Right.
We love it.
I love that you're like, you have the biggest honest smile on your face. It's fun.
It's fun. I mean, it's great. I mean,
someone listening right now is like, Meital, it's not fun.
It's good.
It's not fun.
It's going to be interesting on any transaction and any level. But I really feel that at the end of the day, it's, again, our job is to help our seller to kind of manage those emotions.
Yes. I love it. All right. So I talked about that. We talked about managing sellers. We talked about, so I think this is probably the right question. 3 kids, a great husband, you have this brokerage, you have such a full life. And I know someone's going to say like, how does she keep it all together? Would you have like 48 nannies and a driver? Like, how do you know what I mean? Like, how do you keep it all together and stay sane?
I still make lunches. Yes, I still do school lunches. I still get the 11:45 text from my daughter that the lunch is not really good today, but okay, that happens. But at the end of the day, I have an incredible admin team that really knows what their job, what everyone's in charge on, and it's just this big giant dance that everyone flows together. We have teams that is just really up to helping, and we really develop this incredible team culture that really have that synergy that's really helpful. I have an incredible husband that is really, I don't know if I could have done it if it wasn't for all his help and support. So definitely I have the support. It's not that I wake up in the morning and it's all like, the Kardashian show. It's just like, there is the glam team behind it, right?
Sure.
So there is the support, there is the admin. So take and create that support for yourself any way possible. That's what I would say to people.
It's so, I mean, everyone I talk to has basically the same question. You have to create systems and leverage to get more of the life you want. Because being an entrepreneur, like people ask me all the time, like, even when I was running my dad's company, I acted like as much as I could an owner of the company. It was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if he or my stepmom or one of our top clients called, you pick up the phone and you answer and you have a conversation. Like there is no Monday through Friday check-in, check-out, right? And when you own a business and you have kids and you have a husband and you have responsibilities and you want to work out and you want to do everything else, you just have to manage your time better.
Yes.
So is there something you do? I mean, obviously you got leverage with the team, right? And it sounds like you have some leverage with your husband.
You said that long ago and it stuck with me so strongly. You have those sentences through the years. I mean, how long I've been in coaching with you. I mean, it's amazing, incredible, right?
It's those truths.
Exactly. But those truths really stuck, right? I mean, we need to make bumper sticker from this because I always repeat that to my team. You said one time, if it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist, right? So it's all about my schedule. So if I think of something that needs to happen, immediately I'll put it in my schedule, calendar, done, and it's done. It left my brain. The moment that it left my brain, I don't have to think about it anymore until it comes. So it's perfect. I love it. It's the best system ever. It's actually the system for the lazy. Just put it in, forget about it. It's done.
I'm exactly the same way. And I like lay out the entire year. I already know where I'm going to be in 2026. I know people I'm going to be spending time with. I know things that I'm going to be doing. And people are like, there's a lot of people that just like, they're a little more free flowing with their life and schedule. But then I find that they also complain that they never have enough time. That they're doing things at times that are maybe inappropriate when they should be present with someone they're not because they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing before. And I think it's all just a time and prioritization thing. So do you put notes inside all your, like every scheduled meeting? Is it like
everything?
Tom Ferry Podcast, have a conversation, make sure we talk about, like, do you do that kind of stuff?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything has notes in it. When it comes to podcasts or talking, sometimes it's more about the organic flow of conversation. Of course. But yes, there is always the notes. And if there is a listing presentation, there'll be also something in the calendar the day or two before. Prepare for the listing presentation that come, right? Yeah. And they'll be at the 9 a.m. remind that we're meeting to the listing presentation today, right? So it's not just that point. It's what the event and what are the points that are working around the event that needs to lead to a successful execution of the event. So I understand that not everyone's like that, right? Everyone has their own, because I'm a big believer in that you have to do things that are kind of more organic to you, right? So you don't have to take the Tom Ferry crazy, let's go, right? Yeah. But I think you can start small and maybe schedule just even maybe work events that start with that and maybe go to your personal with that.
Yeah. I do broker preview every Tuesday. Yes. We have an office meeting on Wednesday.
It's just getting to the habits of, oh, wait, something did. I got to look. And then it almost forces you to use your phone more and your calendar.
Yes.
And I think that's a easy way to ease into it.
I love it. Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna razz you. You're 93 years old. What are you doing to maintain like health and vitality? I'm making silly.
Oh,
obviously.
okay. So I work out every day.
Yes.
It's at least once, sometimes twice.
Yep.
But it has to happen because otherwise it's not going to be a good day
Yeah.
for anyone.
Like, because you're gonna kill someone if you don't. Like
I wanted to
you gotta
say it,
burn
but I
you gotta
was
burn
told
some
to
of that
be good on
energy.
it.
Yes,
exactly. And my date nights with my husbands are not a glass of wine. They're let's go on a hike,
Yeah.
right? So we
I
do
love that.
hikes,
Yeah.
and even if we have to go up the hill, that's when we get to catch up and talk,
Yeah.
and we get to exercise, or we'll go to the infrared hot sauna, right? And we'll do the 40 minutes or watch something on Netflix or something.
Yeah.
But it's just about incorporating. Again, it's all about habits.
Healthy habits.
Healthy habits.
Yeah.
I'll have my same lunch every day.
Yeah.
I try to eat healthy, and it's just your habits.
Yeah. I
Yes,
love it.
the habits that keep us secure because you know what to expect. Because there's so
Yes.
much
Yes.
uncertainty around
Right.
us with everything that's happening. So I find that those habits really ground what needs to happen for me to be sane in this insane world. Right?
I think a lot about Tony Robbins. I forget when he first said it. And I don't know if it was actually Tony's material or if he got it from somebody else. So I apologize if I'm not giving appropriate credit. But he said everybody's got 6 human needs. They need certainty, and then they need uncertainty, like variety, right? And then they need love and connection. And then a big one is significance. And when I think about those first 4, you would say if you have those first 4, it actually becomes addictive. And if you actually think about like what we do professionally, our lives, it's, you get a lot of certainty. Like I know I'm going to do certain things every day. I'm going to meet with my team. I'm going to shoot content. I'm going to like do an event. Yeah, I'm going to go on listing appointments. A lot of certainty, but we also need that variety. But the thing I tell people is I don't need variety with like what I'm going to have for lunch. Do you know what I mean? Like
I agree.
It's just food. I don't care.
Oh, I get variety. I get enough variety in real estate.
Thank you.
I just had someone
Variety
that
comes from
broke
clients.
into one of our listings,
Yes.
and she called the police when we replaced the locks to say
Yeah.
that she bought the house, but someone replaced the locks. So interesting things do happen.
Yes.
Yeah, they came on with the K9, and he went on the carpet, and I find myself cleaning it with the cup in an awkward moment. But that's
enough variety.
That's enough variety.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't need what am I going to have
I'm
for
good
lunch
with that.
today.
But yes, but
Yes.
you're right. It
Yeah.
creates this obsession.
Yes.
And it's just about, you always ask, right? Are you interested or are you
committed,
obsessed,
yeah,
right? Are you committed?
yeah.
So it's just about obsessed people are really, the obsession comes in paying attention to the small details that
Yes.
no one else pays attention to.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's really what it comes down to. And you'll see, and that's actually the great thing that I would really recommend people to do. Start with 1 or 2 habits and see, once you get yourself into that, you'll want it more. It's kind of addicting. And
Yes.
you're right.
Yes.
It is.
Did you read or listen to James Clear book, The Atomic Habits?
Yes.
So
I love it.
good. And like
Amazing.
the one line, hey, we all have aspirations, but we all fall back to our systems and our habits. And I'm
Yes.
like, and it's so true. That's why those habits, and like for someone at your level, for the person watching right now, like at your level, we all fall back to our habits. We all fall back to our systems. We all fall back to our structures. So if you're not satisfied with that, level up your habits, level up your systems, level up the structure. So now when you fall, it's more successful than you used to be.
And I think that's what, now that you're saying it, it kind of clicks to me that probably the need that I had to be part of the Tom Ferry ecosystem, I think that's really what forced me into being accountable
Sure.
to creating those habits
Sure.
that I did not have before. But by joining the ecosystem, I had almost this, I surrounded myself with a lot of very successful
Bingo.
agents, and it was really inspiring. And you suddenly see the light in a way, wait, that's easy, that's good.
Right.
So those are not things that you can do by yourself in a
No.
dark room behind a door.
No.
This is something that you really have to commit to, whether it be coaching, being part of an ecosystem, changing from an individual agent to be a part of a team that's really working with your core values.
Right.
So I really think the environment that you create will bring those habits into fruition in a really successful way.
I agree. I remember my dad who, had him speak at the summit last year. He's turning 80. We're going to be together for his birthday coming up in a few weeks. And he would say to me all the time, it was like, I remember being a kid, him saying, your environment is everything. If you spend time with a bunch of knuckleheads, you're going to be a knucklehead. And it wasn't just your environment, like the people you associate with. It was like environment to him was the people you associate with, where you choose to sit and stay, where you sit inside your office, what that office looks like. If I get in your car and it's messy, that is a sign of how you operate your life. And I was like, yeah, like environment, it's so big. So you and I could do this forever, but we actually have to go do some business now in a minute. So this has been fun to let people get into your head, certainly on this show. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you and ask a question, should they hit you up on Instagram? Should they email you? Should they call you? Because people are going to definitely have questions.
Yeah, text me or Instagram DM. Our Instagram is great, Meital Taub, Meital Taub Luxury Group. You can find me on Instagram, which is really great. And yeah, happy to.
Love it. I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for watching out there, and make sure you definitely follow her on Instagram. She does some really great work. I watch all of your, like, just, hey, I'm talking about this product. Here's what's going on in the market. Like you're so dynamic.
That's part of the habits. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for being on the show. Definitely give her a follow. And I would hit her up with some questions if you want to know more about the systems that she's doing and all the ways that she's built her business. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you. You're awesome. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being on the show. Now we got to go do some work.
Yes.
All right, we're out. See you guys soon.